Good evening to all the HR professionals who have joined us today for this Learning Weekend webinar series. I'm Kashish, your host for today. And today's webinar is being organized in collaboration with our global certification partner, HRCI. HRCI certified professionals who are attending today's session will be able to earn one HRCI recertification credit, and the code will be shared towards the end of the session. So stay glued to the screens, and the topic for today is direction versus speed, responsive transformation of organizational cultures. So the webinar would, the speaker would specifically talk about the importance of direction versus the importance of speed when you are taking forward a huge project on changing the organization culture. Our thought leader for today is Swarna Sudha Selvaraj, who is the Talent Development Head for Europe, UK, and Ireland, and she's working with Tata Consultancy Services. We would also have the Director of International Business Development and Partnerships from HRCI with us today. He'll be joining us a little later. So please join me in welcoming Swarna Sudha Selvaraj to this forum. Swarna, are you there?
Hi, Kashish.
Hi, Swarna. So we've just introduced the topic and we've spoken about you taking forward this webinar. So we are pleased to have you on board today. And but before we actually kickstart the session, for the benefit of some of the people who would have joined us for the first time today, I will be giving a brief introduction about our group. That would not take more than a few minutes. So we'll just start with the presentation. So Core HR and IR was formed in January 2017 with a vision and mission to create a platform which would be a learning and sharing network and knowledge across the globe. The group consists of more than 5,000 HR leaders, CHROs, leading HR minds from Indian organizations, as well as Fortune 500 companies. And we have, ever since the inception, we have actually come up with a series of initiatives. We started with a WhatsApp group, which is almost like a live wire with discussions happening every hour of the day. We have our Learning Weekend series, which is the one that you are currently viewing right now. You're attending right now. We have our Chai Buddy series, which is Core HRIR's own version of an HR conclave. It was started in November 2017, and probably when we are through with this Corona phase in probably 2021 is when we plan to have our next series pretty soon. So keep an eye out for our next series of this particular event. We also have our Shining HR Award, which is specifically designed to recognize young HR professionals who've made outstanding contribution in their respective organizations, some new theories, some new ideas, which have been implemented successfully and have benefited the organization, their respective organizations per se. We have also collaborated with HRCI, and HRCI, for the uninitiated, is the world's largest HR certification body and is very well recognized amongst the HR fraternity. We also have our Core Connect session, which is basically done on the WhatsApp groups, and we brainstorm on the trending topics in this particular initiative. We've also come up with a Career Center, which is an artificial intelligence-enabled platform, which is used specifically for the opportunities in HR function. We have come up with Core Research, which was conceptualized to take forward some of the areas which have not been really ventured into. Of course, HR-specific I would say HR-specific teams which have not been ventured into. We have also come up with Candid Conversation series. This particular initiative was conceptualized keeping in mind that HR really needs to have some insight from from the business perspective, and it is there to help the HR understand the business from a CEO's or a business unit head's kind of a perspective. Specifically coming to HRCI, I think it's very, very important for everyone to know that for this particular webinar, our attendees will be able to earn one recertification credit from HRCI, and the code for the same will be shared towards the end of this webinar. So keep a watch out, keep looking out for the code, which will be shared a little later. On the screen, you'll be able to see a list of the certifications which you can go in for according to your area of interest and expertise, and of course, the role, the level that you are at. And what HRCI has also done is for GPHR, they have done away with some of the earlier validation that they had. Now, it is no more, you really do not need to have a complete global exposure. So they have done away with that. Now we do have the topic for today. It is direction versus speed, which is responsive transformation of organizations' cultures. Before we take forward, before we start with the topic, I would like to give a brief introduction about our thought leader for today, who is Swarna Sudha Selvaraj. As I've already shared her present credentials with you, I'll just talk about her entire experience. She has more than 18 years of experience across the globe. She's led digitization, learning and development, and talent development initiatives across different verticals and geographies. Prior to TCS, she's worked with the Murugappa Group. She has been certified in communicating with impact from Institute of Personal Leadership. She is also certified from Indian Society for Training and Development and from City and Guilds as well. She's done her master's in social work from Madras School of Social Work. We will also have our brand partner, JD Namdedu, joining us a little later. He is the Director of International Business Development and Partnerships. With him, he carries 20 plus years of experience like HRCI, Top Employees Institute, and Institute of International Education, Felstroke Fund, etc., etc. Just a two-liner about myself. With more than 14 years of experience across the generalist domains, I've worked with startup organizations as well as mature organizations. My main domains being IT, ITES, and professional services organizations. So over to you, Swarna. If we could have your presentation on the platform, we will be able to take it from there. Let me just, so we have, okay, please join me in welcoming JD Namdedu. He's just joined us. Hi, JD, welcome to the platform. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, so I've just introduced yourself to the attendees. Would you like to take a split second to probably talk about HRCI before we jump to the presentation from the main or the main content of today's presentation?
Sure, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, I think we lost him. Swarna, can we have the presentation? Probably we could go ahead with the presentation, and whenever JD is back. Oh, he's here. So while I just open up the presentation, I'll add JD. Hi, JD. So we're glad you're able to finally make it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries at all. Yeah, so I'm sure the attendees would be excited to hear about HRCI from you.
Sure. So I'm JD Namdedu, Director of International Development and Partnerships. HRCI, the HR Certification Institute, has been around for over 40 years. We are a nonprofit organization established in the United States. Originally, we certified a lot of people in the United States, but in the early 2000s, we realized that due to globalization and the interconnectedness of multinational corporations, there was a need for international certifications. So at that point, we launched different certifications for the HR professionals so that throughout their career, they have access to a third-party validation of their skills and the knowledge that they have. So one of the things that I wanted to mention to the group is that as you consider your career through HR, we have different certifications that can help you to validate the knowledge that you have, to help you with additional employment, and definitely in the international area of HR. Relevant to the Indian market, I would say that we have 4 different certifications. One is the APHRI, that's the Associate Professional Human Resources International, is the entry-level certification with a high school diploma or a secondary education. You can already access to this in terms of requirements. There's no need for any prior HR experience, so that's a very easy certification to access. Then we have the next level is the more operational one, the PHRI, Professional Human Resources International. And then we have the Senior Professional Human Resources International, SPHRI. The one that I wanted to pay a little bit more attention today is the GPHR, Global Professional Human Resources. And the reason why I wanted to mention this one is because we have seen that in India, the majority of people who get certified by our institute actually pursue this certification. And because of that, and because of the situation with COVID-19, we are going to activate, starting October 1st, access to this certification exam online. So starting October 1st, there's going to be a new exam content outline for the GPHR, and anybody from India who wants to access this exam will be able to take the exam online from the comfort of their home or their office. And this is new for us because until recently, even for some of the other certifications, you have to actually go to a Pearson VUE test center to take the exam. So we're very excited about this, the fact that it's a certification that is relevant for Indian HR professionals, recognized by multinational corporations, not only in the United States, but throughout the world. We're proud to say that 93% of Fortune 500 companies actually can with HR professionals who are certified by our institute. I want to say that the benefits of the certification not only are good for the professional, for you as an individual in your careers, but also to the organizations. Companies who have HR certificates from HRCI show that they're better prepared for the unexpected, like this COVID-19 situations. They're much more happy with their employment, have more opportunities to access better job positions, and overall, it's a good way to connect with people who are very committed to the profession, and you become part of an international community with over 500,000 people, 500,000 people certified in the last 40 years. So we're very proud to partner with Core HRIR for the members that they serve throughout India, and we're always looking at how to expand that community of HR certificates. Some of you, members of this association, are certified, so I would encourage those of you who are certified to speak to some of your colleagues, some of the other members, to say why you got the certification. I think that's really the best way to understand how relevant this certification is. I often say that it's not that HRCI makes you a better HR professional, it's that HR professionals who are certified make HRCI a relevant institution throughout the world. So that's all I have for today. We're also very happy that these type of webinars are certified by our institute, so that anybody who participates in them, at the end, there will be a code that you can use for recertification purposes. Once you get certified, every 3 years you have to recertify, and you do that through activities and through attending webinars like this one. So that's all I have for you today. If anybody has any questions, I encourage you to connect with our team at HRCI through the website, or Kashish and others in the organization have my email. I'll be happy to connect with any of you who has interest in our certification. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks for taking our attendees through the benefits of HRCI. Just a split second, I think. I'm sorry for this. We lost Swarna and she's back again. Hi, Swarna. So glad to have you back. I can see your screen. Should I share a screen now for the
Not
PPT?
required. I think I have managed to get that. It's okay. I think we can do this way. Okay.
Okay, great.
So I'll take a quick confirmation. You can look at the comments and see if people are able to view the screen, Kashish.
Sure.
Are you able to view the screen? You can let Kashish know. Kashish, you can confirm and we can start.
Yeah. So I can see the screen. I've just asked people. Yes, they're able to see the screen.
Excellent. I think we had a sort of a jittery start, but yeah, anything is fine if it starts well. So good. Good evening, everybody, and very nice getting to know you, JD. It was good to know about HRCI a little more than what I've known earlier, and nice listening to you. Thank you, Kashish and Veer, for this opportunity to connect with a lot of HR professionals, wherein we can speak about what's happening right now. My hearty appreciations to the core HRIR team for this excellent contribution, which you're doing voluntarily to add value to a lot of HR professionals across the globe. It definitely means a lot, and I hope a lot of HR professionals are able to get the best benefit out of it. There's a very recent joke that I saw, which one is rising faster? Is it webinars or Corona? And it was webinars, which was very high. So I know that it's not very easy to attend a webinar on a Saturday evening in India. It's afternoon for me here in the UK. And I think for JD, it would be morning. So it's not very easy. It takes a lot of time. You have to take effort to come and attend. And webinars, if it's not engaging, then it's definitely difficult. So I'll try to make this as engaging as possible for all of you. Let's start. But whatever comments I make here is my own practitioner's comments and do not represent my organization. I lay this disclaimer because I represent a very popular organization, a global organization. I've had learning, but whatever I share is my own view. Let's move on. Okay. We would definitely evolve. There is no doubt about it. Human evolution has been there for so very long. So does culture. Culture also evolves. So this topic of direction versus speed, I picked up mainly because we have been in a reactionary mode when the epidemic hit, and we had to do things very quickly. But as we move forward and for a culture to get formed, it is very important that we think about the direction as the most important and not the speed. So that is why I had the topic as direction versus speed. And this digital transformation has been driven by Corona at a pace that nobody could imagine, or no one could even dream of, the pace at which the organizations have transformed. Sectors that might not have actually, I'm getting a call. Kashish? Hello? I'm sorry if I'm able to. I think I'm able to see you all.
Yes, Sarna, everything seems just fine. Are you experiencing any technical issues at your end?
No, I received a call from you, so I got a bit confused. Was there any problem? I received a call from you, so just that's why I wanted.
Oh no, that was 7 minutes ago while we were trying to get you onto the platform.
Okay, fine. No, I rang now, Kashish, so that's why I got distracted. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
We'll get back to this. Okay, fine. I think you will be able to see this because anyway, my screen is shared. Yeah. So I was talking about why this topic at all and what I will be covering in this session today. Okay, so first we'll start with getting to know each other. I know in a webinar, digitally getting to know each other will not be very easy, but we'll try and see how this can be done, well. Okay, and then we'll follow it up with the next 4 points, which are very important, where I'll be touching on what are the 4 areas that we need to focus on as we transform the culture of our organizations. And I'm going to pick up a very common case study that you're all aware of, and from which we can actually learn a lot of lessons, followed by a Q&A. We'll do all of this very, very quickly. And I'm not going to share any research analysis or anything. I know there is going to be a point added for those who are doing your HRCA certification. But whatever I'm going to share is only going to be a practitioner's view, but I will share examples of what are happening in organizations as such. Okay, let's go. So this is how we'll start. Generally in sessions, we say put your phone in silent mode, but with the digital on, we are actually joining sessions with the phones as well. And internet is something which is very mandatory. Now you need fast fingers because we're going to do some typing and clicking to know each other. And it will be in a digital mode, so it will be a bit challenging, but we'll make it as easy as possible. Let us get to know each other now. I'm going to ask you to do something. I'm going to ask you to go to mentimeter.com on your mobiles. Okay, this is what you have to do. Go to www.menti.com and it'll ask for a code. You have to type 199461. Okay, that's the code. Once you type that, you will be able to actually share which band of experience you belong to. This will help me to understand who I'm interacting with, and we can accordingly look at how we can share experiences. So those of you who are attending this session, this is my request. You can go to www.menti.com if you have joined on your iPads or your tablets or mobile or your system. Just open a browser, go to www.menti.com and just tell me what your work experience is. All right. Always the first person, it takes some time. So I'm going to wait for a few seconds and you can register your work experience. You have to go to menti.com, menti.com, and apply the code, which I have given here. All right, we've got the first response, 10 to 15 years. There are 2 people who responded and both of them are in that work experience band. Thank you very much. Can we have others responding?
Yeah, we have more people who are currently attending the session. So we would really request people to come up and share their responses.
Okay. This is a form of digital engagement. When we get to know each other like this, it's easier for us to interact. And I would be using Menti very often for interactions. So I'm looking forward to seeing good. We have mixed responses now. I'm not seeing anybody in my experience band. I'm really looking forward to see that as well. Okay, let's go on. We'll take your time. The first one always, it takes time. So it's okay. You can just go to menti.com and then type your years of experience. All right. Now I think people are getting the hang of it. Pretty good. There are more people having over 10 years experience than those less than 10 years. Interesting. Okay, we'll give it a few more seconds. I'm timing this, so don't worry. Okay. Great. I have someone very young who's got less than 5 years experience. I'm sure there are a lot of brilliant ideas from there as well. Okay. More coming in. Still, the less than 10 years is slightly lesser than the higher than 10 years. Okay. I will probably move to the next question that I'm going to ask, and you can try answering this. Okay. This will help us understand what is our experience level and what is our expertise in. So your current role, okay, you have to go to same menti.com and the code is different now. It is 199461 and tell me what role you're playing right now. Great. We have a HR generalist. We have a HR business partner. There's a person working in recruitment. Okay. Good. More HR generalists, business partners. Goes hand in hand, I would say, both. All right. Very good. There's something others. Okay. Great. Anybody else would like to respond? Yes. Okay. Okay. So I first asked about the experience. I saw many people having over 10 years experience and uh, slightly lesser people having less than 10 years experience. I have over 18 years experience, Kashish did introduce. And when you're talking about the current role, I was only wanting to tell you that uh, my experience is mostly in training and development. And I see nobody from training and development join the session today, which is fine. I think I have more of HR generalists and business partners who've come in, but let's go on. My experience, like I said, told you, it was completely on training and development. My areas of interest are employee engagement and learning and development. That's a photograph of me when I received the Emerging Training Leader of the Year award in 2016 in Orlando, USA, from the Training Magazine, United States. It was specifically for leading the digital learning journey within TCS, along with the Chief Learning Officer and the entire talent development team, which worked on leading the journey. So I worked specifically with the business unit to do it, wherein we were able to train around 6,000 people, manual testers, to become automation testers. And we had worked out a complete curriculum towards it. There was a lot of strategy around how we'll bring in people together and all, and that's how I received the award. So my experience predominantly has been in learning and development out of the overall 18 years. I also wanted to ask you all, okay, this question, okay. I'm not going into detail about it, but you can go into menti.com again and try to answer this question. This is basically also helping you to think about what actually you rely on when you make decisions or when you have to make some moves. Okay, I'm asking this question because many a times we rely on various other aspects, but which one do we rely on more and high? That is what I wanted to see, and that is the question. So you can try answering that question. It's kind of giving you a view of what exactly would you rely on as well. It is a tricky question. In the session, like I told you, it will be a practitioner's view. What you can expect from the session is basically some provoking thoughts, some practitioner's tips, and what you can implement very quickly. So if you had to make a decision in your organization about anything, what would you rely on is my question. I know that this can be a tricky question. You have to go to menti.com again and try 846649 as the code to respond to it. We are adopting technology more and more. I can see that some people are still reluctant about using technology. But if you'd like to give it a try, because this question will be very different from others, even when you try it, which one would you rely on more? Okay. There's somebody who says they would rely heavily on research, experience from similar organizations, consultants, and there's somebody else who's given a different response. So now it's changing. All right. So there you go. Okay. There are different aspects coming in here. Try it. It's nice to get your views. Okay. We can already see that reliable research and experience of similar organizations is coming down. And actually, common sense consultants also has come down. Common sense is going up. Okay. Do we have any more responses? Would you like to give it a try? Maybe you haven't thought about this, but definitely it will help me understand the kind of people who are there in the session. Okay, I can see that common sense has gone further up and others coming down. All right. Okay. Anybody else wanting to give it a try? Okay. Experience from similar organizations, learning from others is also increasing, which is very good. Okay. I'm glad that there are some people giving this a try. We'll go back to the presentation. I'm a very curious learner, and all through my career, what I have been doing is whatever I've learned, I share and keep learning continuously. Because of that, also try to resolve problems wherever they are, and that too not myself. I like to help people help themselves realize their potentials. I'd like to quote here from my language, Tamil, which is one of the oldest language in the world. There is a very popular couplet, that's what it's called, a 7 words two-liner from a popular Tamil poet in India, Thiruvalluvar. Immaterial of whatever you hear from others and how many ever times you hear it, you need to determine its authenticity with your own investigation and common sense. I'm a very strong believer of this. There are several reasons why. Because a person on the ground is the best person to make a decision on where to move. And that is why I believe that this is the best way to do it. And I saw that you all who are attending the session also had varied views about who will do which approach to rely on your decision making. But you're going to hear to a person who relies on almost all of these and more towards the common sense, because the starting point is essential when we decide on where we are going next. Now we'll move into the 4 aspects that more and more organizations are keeping in mind as they move towards responsive transformation cultures, starting with reactionary to responsive. Why did we pick up reactionary to responsive? We had to react very, very quickly when the COVID situation struck. The safety of employees and enabling business continuity became the highest priority. The range of readiness in organizations varied from people saying, "Hey, what do you mean remote working? That's not possible in my sector. I'm not even ready for it," to the extreme other range of saying, "Yes, we're all set." And my organization is one of it, where within 4 weeks, we were able to onboard all our employees in remote working. Almost everybody. When I say that, it's 95% of our employees. And we trademarked our approach, and that is called the secured borderless workspaces. We were able to do that. So there were extremes. There were sectors which were able to pick up. There were sectors which could not. And what is really very interesting is that the top 2 professions which became much busier were actually IT and HR. And I'm actually proud to be part of that HR fraternity, which has actually scaled up very instantaneously. Now, that's reacting to a situation, and we were able to manage that. But that's not going to be helping when we are actually trying to set up a culture. We know that this is the situation, and we know we have to move forward. So what do I mean by responsive? In simple terms, it means instantaneous, very quick in any situation. A responsive design in a software, in a mobile, if you look at, right, if the software is responsive, which means it is easily accessible by an iOS user, an Android user, a Windows user. So anybody having any hardware, that whatever content comes in is very responsive. So that is what I mean by responsive. Now, when I say this, the question that you might have is, okay, fine, this looks like theory. What is it exactly that we need to do as an implementable action? In one word, if I have to say that, I think I'd like to highlight straight-through processing as something very important. Immaterial of whether we are a small organization or a large organization, it is possible that the employee experience becomes key to all of us. Any level or any sector, any size, employee centricity and employee experience is going to be key. And if that is key, straight-through processing is going to play a major role. How do we do straight-through processing? In finance, okay, if I have a claim and I want to make a claim, I want to get it done immediately without any bureaucracy. That's straight-through processing. It's a terminology picked up from finance. But how do we do that in HR? How do we really make it happen? Now, the simplest way of doing that is to enable technology to do it. Simplification through technology. And for organizations that are in the starting stages, I think adopting the right technology that can bring every people process together towards straight-through processing could be a good step. And for organizations that are already technology enabled, I think delinking the siloed processes and linking everything together, fix the broken parts, bring everything together to give a very, very straight through experience for employees is what I mean by responsive. Now, it is not going to be easy. Organizations that are large mainly have functions which are specialized, which are siloed, which have specific metrics. And to make that happen, it is very important to set common goals, bring everybody together. Imagine you're traveling from one location to another. If you have two options of taking a straight flight, train, or bus versus multiple forms of travel where you have to get down, get on, do that multiple times, which one would we enjoy? Obviously, the one which is straight through. And that is what I mean by moving to responsive, by actually enabling straight through processing. We have a learning about this in the case study that we're going to speak. We'll talk about it. The next point is actually short-term strategies with a long-term view. Now, if the long-term view is clear, we all know that short-term strategies will find its way. Any departments, even the silos, will find its way if the long-term view is very clear. Any action that is taken by an individual for a group or a team or an account or a project in departments in manufacturing, whether it's different supply chain departments, it doesn't matter. Any action taken should relate directly to the long-term view. Then it brings out an unified effort that will result in synchronized outcomes. That will make a huge difference. This would apply for small, medium, large, any enterprise, and even for governments. I don't have to give examples of how governments are struggling if the long-term view is not very clear. Whether it's policies, benefits, health, travel, insurance, anything that we do, if we have the long-term view in mind and make the relevant changes, then it makes a lot of difference. This definitely will help out ease the problems between people managing even systems, because many times when we talk about technology, there's this question of, oh, we are a technology organization. There are so many things that but why is it that different technologies are not speaking to each other? Different systems are not speaking to each other. It's not about the systems. It's about the people managing it. So the technology can never be a problem. It's the people. How can people make a difference? How can we bring together this long-term view with short-term strategies can easily bring people together? Any action has an equal and opposite reaction. Let's take, for example, the layoffs that are happening in some of the organizations today. It is going to have a major impact. And if we have to do it with a long-term view, definitely the organizations having the view are doing it with a reason. But I think it's important that we keep in mind how it's going to impact our employees, our customers, and overall our business. So a long-term view is something which is very, very important. As far as our organization is concerned, I think our organization has given a clear direction of 25 by 25, by which they have clearly mentioned that 25% of our workforce will be working from offices by 2025, and the rest have remote working options. And at any point of time, there'll be 25% of the people working from office and 75% will not be. Keeping that long-term view in mind, we are making short-term strategy, every department, every geography, every team, so that we are able to bring out unified, synchronized outcomes. Moving on to the next point. Which is nurturing autonomy and collaboration. When I was writing this point, I asked myself, how do you think a person can do this? And I was actually thinking about sports. Okay, an athlete who runs a 100 meters dash also is able to participate in a 4 into 100 meters relay, which is a team event. Similarly, the example that I've given here of an individual rower versus a team that's rowing together, this can be taken up in organizations. The skills of the future include collaboration as something which is very, very important, agility as something very, very important. But this should be underlined with sharing and caring principles so that we walk the journey together with a lot of respect. But whatever we do, we should not be taking out the autonomy of an employee to think and act for themselves. It's very, very important. Autonomy makes people more committed. They are able to bring their creative self, their whole self together to office and be more creative, more productive for the organization. So how do we make that work together? The best way would be to build clarity on individual and team goals. Many a times we have seen in organizations that goal setting is, for some roles it's very clear, for many roles it is not. And when people come together as teams, the best way to build autonomy and collaboration together is have very clear team goals and individual goals. And when we're all working together in a physical location, right, we might have come across people who might just bump into us and say, hey, hi, I came to your desk at least twice today, I didn't see you. You know the reaction, you feel like, yeah, I had some work, I was in a conference room and things like that. Now the situation has changed. Okay, we're all using collaboration tools, and in the physical location there were 2 to 4 people who were curious about where you were, but here now in the collaboration aspect it's much more different. There are many more people wanting to know where you are, because if it's an away status or it's not available status, it's different things. The status actually defines what you're doing. People imagine what you're doing. So there's a lot of you get to understand, okay, we are in a matrix organization, so many people are watching us because of this. But all this should not spoil the autonomy or the collaboration of an individual, leading towards productivity. How do we do it? By setting very clear goals for the individual and the teams so that we can all come together. In the previous point, we spoke about long-term views and short-term strategies. If the goals are common, even across groups, then it is easier for collaboration to happen and individuals to find their way to do it. Definitely, COVID-19 has directly led to a calendar explosion of people just pulling in people into different meetings. But I think we need to make sure that we also move towards a work-life harmony, which leads to my next point. So the autonomy that is given, I would directly relate it to flexibility that an individual can actually take up to work on the work-life harmony. Now, why is it termed harmony at all? Why not balance? Balance, anytime we can know. One of my mentors have told me that they've never been able to balance work and life. It's always that one takes higher priority than the other, and at different times it keeps changing. So there is no question of, okay, which is more important. It is always at that moment we decide. And that is why the harmony in an orchestra, if every person knows what they have to do at what time, they all come together in synchronization, then it becomes music. If anything falls out of place, it's noise. So how can we, when we practice this together, wherein offices have walked into homes, harmony can be brought in? There are several jokes that are or instances coming with regard to this, where when a meeting is going on, a video call is going on, 4-5 people are there. In someone's house, the doorbell rings. Then everybody looks at each other thinking, whose bell is ringing? So everybody knows that somebody is at the door of one person. That's the level at which, work has walked into home. I also remember, sounds, people talking about, oh, the microwave is dinging, or the pressure cooker is on, or the children are running, or an infant crying. There are different things happening, and it is all part of life now. It is becoming the new normal. And in a very interesting note that I read somewhere, I don't know whether it's a WhatsApp forward, an elderly lady, was disturbed because her son was continuously saying, reduce the volume of the TV, it's disturbing my call. And then she couldn't tolerate it. She comes into the video call, looks at it and says, you have walked into our spaces and you're disturbing our lives. Immediately, a person on the other side in the call, okay, another person just came up and said, yes, I agree. This person has walked into our space and they're disturbing. So it is actually disturbing a lot of aspects within home as well. But how do we build that? And how can organizations support it? The key word I would say is trust, which is multidimensional, not one way. And how we can set expectations clearly, both at work and at home, will make a huge difference. Now, the autonomy should include flexibility to drive work. When I say that, the flex working can be done based on the preference of an individual. But when it comes to collaboration, it's all about trust. We need to work out common timings, which is not at all easy, I can say, because when we work with different geographies, different levels of people, having a common time for a meeting itself is difficult. So how do we sort out those things and have a clear calendar for ourselves on what we can do? That will definitely help with work-life harmonization. And with children having holidays and a lot of things happening around in the personal front as well, if the autonomy can be utilized very effectively, it's very easy to use the work-life harmonization. Now, how organizations are going to shape this up and are going to capture it and enable employees to feel that autonomy, at the same time urge them to be collaborative, would be very interesting to watch. And I'm sure there are many organizations already doing it. And in our case study, definitely we are going to have some learning from that. Moving to the case study. Now, if you can look at these pictures, do you get any idea of what I'm going to talk about? It's a very common case study. It's not something very different. It's a very common case study that I'm going to touch on. Do you have any guesses what this is on? Kashish, you can look at the chat box and say if there are any things coming. Since we are, rushing, we lost initially some 10 minutes. I'm just going to. Are there any responses? Is anybody able to guess what case today I'm going to touch on?
Not yet.
Let's try this. I'm going to go picture by picture. Let's see if you can give it a try. Okay, starting with this, then this, right? 4 and 5. Any guesses? If there are no guesses, I can tell you this is what it is. Anytime, anywhere, any device, any content, and anyone.
Mohammed Samsuddin says we're talking about virtual world.
Yes, we're talking about
digital learning.
Fantastic. It's actually digital learning, the virtual learning, okay, which I wanted to touch on. Yeah. I wanted to touch on this because there are a lot of learning from this. We are talking about flex work. We are talking about remote work. And if we really look at it, right, can we have some learning from flex learn to flex work free of cost? Because many organizations have already done that. Democratization of learning has been in existence in some organizations, and many organizations are in an advanced stage. I would say, I can proudly say that our organization is. And could we pick up democratization of work learnings from this democratization of learning? We can. Let me give you 6 different aspects touching on how we can learn from virtual learning, virtual work aspects. How can we transform the culture? Because when we moved from physical learning culture to digital learning culture, these are the things that we did. Starting with managing less and empowering more. What did we do? When we were actually doing physical classrooms and all that, we need to put up the calendar, we need to manage the classrooms, the faculty, everything on time, everything had to be done that way. But with digital learning coming up, we were able to link it to competency goals and give the learning in learning management system and self-paced learnings. 90% is digital. So people were able to take those at their own pace. So manage less and empower more. Competency linked learning available anytime, anywhere. And how can this be taken to the flex work aspects? Very clearly, competency goals in learning were actually goals. Now here, clear goals for work is going to determine how the person can choose to do it the way they want, their styles. So that's the first learning. The second is giving up the control and sharing control. The control dilemma always has been there in organizations, right? We want to make sure that people come on time, the attendance sheets and all of that. That was there in the mindset earlier. But when we were changing the culture, we changed it to learning-based calculation, learning analytics rather than anything else. So we were able to look at that and say how people are doing, and we measured with assessment, okay? And if I have to take it directly to flex work, ethical stocking is a new concept. If there are softwares installed in our systems or work laptops, how are they going to do it? And how are we going to make the best out of telling, this is my work style, will work out the culture of the organization. The third is maximum variety which is given, okay, but with a single door entry. So even if there are multiple learning management systems coming together, then we use our parent system to give the entry for employee so that they come in, they choose a competency, and then they do courses from any platform, but they don't even get to know where they are doing it from, right? It's a straight through processing experience directly relating to this one. So we have one calendar for all programs. Similarly, how all functions can publish one calendar for an associate could be a great learning which can be coming through. Next comes continuous engagement. In digital learning, once in at least 7-8 minutes or maximum 20 minutes, there's some engagement that we do. And we have to do continuous engagement with employees as they work remotely. Definitely throwback moments where you bring in earlier experiences, make them speak about it, definitely is going to help. Beyond all that, if you really look at it, now learning and sharing came in virtual learning very strongly. Faculty volunteered to do it. It became part-time positions for them when they did faculty role. The same thing is appearing in flex work where many roles could become part-time, and how we could pick up is in our hands from the organization side. Learning is an enabler and is available for everyone, was the philosophy that digital learning drove. Adaptive learning, there was a starting point which was established and they started from there. In work perspective also, depending on which skill employee has, the level of the skill, we can look at where they can contribute, but they should have the choice to take it up, and that's where organization could make a huge difference. With that, I will now hand it over to Kashish for question and answers.
Thank you, Swarna. Thank you for taking us through your concepts. I'm sure everyone's found them really, really useful. We certainly have questions pouring in, and I'll first take on questions which have come live. Just give me a split second. And the question is from Brigadier Jayant Tiwari, and he's asking what should be the conceptual framework and guiding factors for future for organizations to smoothly move without disruption in lives. Any?
I think Brigadier, I think you are meaning to ask what should be the conceptual thought process behind it. I think I did touch on long-term view and work-life harmonization. So when an organization picks up a long-term view, if we keep in mind the work-life harmonization and enable autonomy and collaboration at the same time, I think it would be able to help people to decide on what they would like to do. And more, we've been talking about gig economy for a very long time, but the actual existence and the flyer is right now. So people would want to do things of their interest, their caliber more. So if we are able to engage them within the organizations using their capabilities, that's going to help more and more to make everyone's life easier, if that was your question, Brigadier. Thank you for asking.
Thanks, Swarna. We have the next question from basically similar questions from two different people. So the question is from Asghar Khan, who is the AVP with Fidelity National Financials from Bangalore, and Vikram V. Kalyanpur, who is the executive leader with the Catalyst Cube Hyderabad. So they both are keen to know, how do you measure the impact, and what would be the top 5 metrics to measure organizational culture in the new normal post-COVID? So how do we measure the top 5 metrics?
Okay, I think thanks for that question. I think Asghar, I think he also had wished Eid when the session started. Eid Mubarak to you and to many people who've joined the session today. So as far as the metrics are concerned, any metric for that matter, I think we should not move away from the business metrics. If we're able to align each of our metrics with the business metric, then it makes real sense. When it comes to post-COVID-19, I think it's more to do with associates' belongingness and presence, which is going to make a lot of difference. Many a times when people start working from home, we might miss engaging with them. So a lot of engagement-related aspects, if we are able to correlate it with productivity and business outcome, I think those would be the best metrics that we can look at. I have some of my colleagues, when we talk about metrics, we've been talking about how there will be common goals for different functions relating to the long-term view, which is more and more bringing people together, and common goal across functions in HR is also engagement, which is coming up. Otherwise, any goal, I think it is getting more and more connected to the business outcome directly.
Thanks, Swarna. The next question is from Sonia, who is an HR manager with a company called Orain from Delhi. And she's asking, how can we manage and maintain the appropriate culture during the ongoing virtual working environment?
Say that again, Kashish.
So how can we manage and maintain the appropriate culture during the ongoing virtual working environment?
It depends on what the organization wants as part of their DNA. Okay. So there are values established in any organization when they are existing. And whether it is virtual work or regular work, if employees are able to practice those values and stay happy, then that's the way the culture has to be set. What has changed now is we are not able to see each other often. So again, I would say that engagement related aspects, culturally bringing it together in the regular work would make a huge difference and it will go a long way. It's not very easy to do, but we have to be very intentional in doing it. Now, even when it comes to communication, earlier, if we had not spoken to all the 10 people that we see around, at least we see them. But now it is not that way. We have to intentionally communicate. Now, intentional communication would become very, very important and has to be part of the culture, if I have to give one example.
Thank you, Swarna. The next question is from Ravi Ranjan Kumar, who is General Manager with Fortis Healthcare Limited from Delhi. And his question is, in this VUCA world, how to motivate and engage employees to the direction Okay, the question looks a little incomplete, but then let me just reiterate it. How to motivate and engage employees to the direction, and what kind of capabilities are required to drive organizational transformation? So what he probably means to ask is how to motivate and engage employees and what kind of capabilities are required to drive organizational transformation. So there are two questions rolled into one. It's a double barrel question.
I think the second part I've answered during the session itself, touching on 4 different aspects that we can work on. The first part is very interesting. It's a very good question. I think many practitioners are very seriously thinking about this. The answer, if you look at conceptually, is if we are able to tap on the strengths of employees, they remain motivated, they remain engaged. Okay. If we are not able to tap on their strength, but they are being pushed to do something that they are not liking to do, then it becomes a problem. Even if they have to do it, if it is done with a purpose where the purpose is explained clearly, then it works well. So I think more and more, if we make it purposeful for every person, the engagement is higher. But they need to understand the purpose and buy in. If they don't, then it becomes a problem. And the second part is, with that, if the employee's strengths are tapped, automatically the engagement is very high and they are motivated. There are challenges. As a practitioner, I can also tell you that there are challenges, but purpose and strengths, if we are able to bring it together, I think it will work well.
Thanks, Verna. The next question is from Dr. Nandish, who's an HR professor with Indus Business Academy in Bangalore, and he wants to know your thought on the following statement that or the following understanding that he has. He says most organizations are doing jugaad changes by being agile and with speed, which is good, but the purposeful direction and outcome-based actions are critically important for sustainability in transformation. What are your thoughts?
Yes. That's my thought. Yes. I think you nailed it. That's exactly what I was talking about in the session. So I shared my thoughts all through the session. We are having the same thought. That's what I can tell you.
Okay, great. Now, Nilava Nandi, who's a manager with a manufacturing company in Kolkata, wants to have your advice on managing change, or how can change management be implemented amongst factory workers?
Very interesting question. My first assignment, what was the person who asked the question?
Nilava Nandi.
Nilava Nandi, you make me speak about my first work experience. As a management trainee, I joined as a industrial social worker in EAD Paris, Murugappa Group. My assignment was to build trust between employees and the organization. There were around 250, blue collar workers working in a sugar factory, boilers, sugarcane and all of that, right? And 10 years back, before I joined, there was a shootout and 2 employees died in front of the factory. Not employees, community people, but they're all from the same community. So there was not much trust. And this was a union-ridden factory which was taken over. Unions were not there. When I joined, it was just joint councils. Okay, if I have to speak the manufacturing language. And the way I started, I thought, okay, I'll just go in. But it was not easy. The first thing was I didn't wear the Parry uniform. I just moved to show that I'm one of them. Okay, that's the first message. Okay, when we are driving change, any kind of transformation, I think we need to recognize ourselves with the population that we are working with. We cannot be standing outside that and doing the change. Second is we need to bring out the benefits of what actually is there in this change in a very clear and appropriate manner. When I went and spoke to employees, they didn't speak to me first. So I took a very different route. Okay, I approached their children and then their partners. We did initiatives with them. Slowly, then we brought them together. I had to bridge the gap between the white collar workers and blue collar workers. I had to show that you're all one. So all of these together. So to bring that benefits, we might have to be very creative with our approach in telling them what the benefits are. Once that is there, we need to identify people within the team to actually speak for us and be with us and tell us what's working, what's not working. And they become the ambassadors as well. And then we need to very clearly review whether things are going fine or not and make changes then and there. With that, I think we would be able to drive the change. I've just given a few steps with example, but there are many other aspects as well that we can look at.
Thanks, Swarna. The next question is coming live from Naipal Singh and is asking for organizations competitive versus collaborative, which is more effective as part of learning and having better progressive organization and creating a value-based learning culture in an organization?
Very good question and a very difficult question to answer. Okay. When you say competitive in what? Okay, it depends. We have to define competitive in what and collaborative in what. Okay, that will actually answer the question according to me. When I heard that question, immediately I was like thinking, so competition is between my competitors and me, but that doesn't stop me from collaborating with my competitors also for mutual benefit, right? So it is actually both. If I really want success, I think I will go for collaboration more than competitive. With collaboration, we can also be competitive.
Thank you, Swarna. Now, Clifford Mohan Pai is asking, Swarna, what is your one big new challenge in the new normal?
Connecting with my own team often. There's no time. That's the biggest challenge. I'm being honest with that, because see, what happens is you have priorities of work and all that you have allocated to the team. But like I said, intentional communication is very important. I wouldn't say that I'm also 100% successful in that, neither my boss or anybody in the organization, because when it comes to digital, keeping in touch with our own people becomes the biggest challenge, and managing time to do it, making it a culture, that's what I see as the challenge. And I'm still trying to manage it. If you have any ideas, do share with me on LinkedIn.
The next question is for JD. JD, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. So the question is from Praveen Sehrawat, and he wants to know what are the key benefits of pursuing the HRCI certification.
Sure, thank you for that question. It's actually a question that I receive quite often, specifically from India. What I often say is that most of the data that we have is related to the United States, since that's where the bulk of our certification holders are located. And what we have found in studies is that most of the jobs that are for HR that are requesting a certification are requiring HRCI certification. Now, that might not be the case in India yet, but we do know that those who are certified have higher salaries, have better performance in their jobs, are more recognized by their supervisors and by their colleagues, and also they have more job opportunities. I would invite you to just search on LinkedIn, for example, for anybody who has one of the certifications that HRCI offers, APHRI, PHRI, SPHRI, or GPHR in the international environment. And you will see that once you get a certification from HRCI, you join a community of thousands of people in HR that are not only certified, but they're also in really high level positions. And that really shows the recognition of those certifications. So in India, we continue working with different associations, universities, to make sure that the recognition of the brand is there, but also so that there's a demand on the employer side. Because I understand as an HR professional, why would you get a certification if nobody's asking for it? Well, one would be because you're showing that you're committed to the profession. But the other thing would be so that you have a third-party institution like HRCI saying, we have reviewed the knowledge of this person, and it is equivalent to anybody in the world who can actually perform in that position. And I think in most cases, people who are in executive management do not necessarily know what are the ins and outs of performing in HR. And when somebody says, I work in HR and I have worked for several years, they don't really understand what that means. And even if you have a degree from a university, from a higher academic institution, they still don't know what that exactly means. But if somebody says, I'm certified by an organization that has hundreds of thousands of people certified all over the world, there's a level of standard that says, okay, this person can actually perform at the same level that anybody in Australia, in Canada, in China, and the United States can perform. That is sufficient for me to know that I need to hire this person. So again, we are very much recognized in the United States. We continue working on our global expansion. We're getting to a level of very significant recognition in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Dubai. In India, I think it's coming from the top down. So you will see people who manage teams are getting certified themselves and saying, this is why I got certified and why I encourage my team to get certified. And it's my understanding that not many companies in India actually offer budget for professional development. So that makes it more difficult for individuals to say, I'm going to pursue this opportunity because I'm going to have to pay out of my own pocket. So I understand the difficulty there, but the level of significance is still the same. It's making sure that people around you in your environment and your employers know that you're joining a community of people who know what they're doing in the HR space.
Thank you. Thanks, JD. All right. No questions for HRCI for now. Swana, I think we do have one question. Sorry, yes, here it is. So the question is, how do we check if the direction of our work is right? Or how to check if we are going in the right direction? How to measure that? The question is from Anurag Vishwakarma, who is into corporate HR from Hyderabad.
Your business metrics will tell you the answer. That's the easiest way of looking at it. Yeah, because definitely if the business metrics are not doing well, then we'll have to enable that by changing whatever we are doing. And people metrics, which are aligned to business, will also showcase. That's the best way. And employee sentiment, which will be like a key thing for us to tell if we are going in the right path.
Sure. So we do not have any more questions. And as we promised at the beginning of this session, we'll be sharing a code which today's participants, they can use for earning recertification credits from HRCI. Please remember, this can be used for earning recertification credit. And I'll just share my screen to share the code here. Just 1 second, and you should be able to. All right, wait.
While Kashish is sharing the code, I'd like to thank Core HRIR and HRCI for this wonderful opportunity to connect with people. I hope you had some implementable ideas that you could take up or some provoking thoughts that you would like to have. I'd love to stay in touch with you all through Core HRIR. Once again, thank you, Kashish, and thank you, V.
Thanks, Rana. Yeah, I'm just trying to share this particular.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you also. I follow the conversation with great interest. Everything that you said was actually very relevant in the United States also. We have, as you were saying, a virus in webinar spreading. Everybody has 5 webinars a day that they need to attend to understand what's the new normal. Nobody knows what to do, but we're all trying our best, right? And I think this is actually bringing all of us, the workforce, together, knowing that we're all in this together, and that we can learn from each other a lot, and that different cultures and economies can learn a lot from each other in this process. So thank you everybody for your contribution. The questions were very interesting to me as well.
Can everyone see the code?
No.
I think we only see the files right now.
Yeah, I can see the files.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just 1 second. I know there's 1 second. Let me just go back and try and share my screen again. Okay, here it is. Here it is. My system is a little slow today, I guess. So,
yeah.
yeah. Okay,
there
great.
we go.
So,
That's the code. So those of you who are certified, you already know. You go to HRCI.org, log into your profile, go to the recertification section, and enter that code activity for today's date. Or if you're watching this at a later time, it would also work, and then that will count as 1 recertification credit towards recertifying your credential with HRCI.
and thanks to HRCI and eventually JD, who's with us today. So all of you can please thank JD. He's really nice to share the code with us today. Thanks, JD, on everyone's behalf. And I'm sure this is...
Thank all of you. And if anybody has any questions, you can find me on LinkedIn, JD Nomdedeo, or just look for HRCI. And yeah, any questions that you have, you can email info@hrci.org, and our team of customer service will definitely answer any questions that you have.
JD, we are honored that you considered this session to be considered for the recertification points. That's very interesting, and really honored about that. Thank you very much for that, JD.
Our pleasure. There's so much to learn. This is what I keep saying about the HR profession. It's one of those professions in which learning never ends, because there's constant change in the workforce, in laws, in the reality that affects employees. So you can't just say, I got certified a year ago, and then 20 years later, it doesn't count anymore. You have to be in a constant state of learning mindset.
Yep.
Thank you, JD. Thank you, Swarna. So with this, we move towards the end of this webinar, and I'll just take a minute to say thanks to everyone. So thank you all the attendees, all the HR professionals who have actually taken our time today to attend this webinar and have contributed to the spirit and vision of learning of Core HRIR. And this is really very motivating for us, and this is what keeps us going ahead. I would also like to thank the Core HRIR core team and Veer, and above all, our thought leader for today, Swansudha Selvaraj, and our certification partner, the Director of International Business Development and Partnerships, JD Nomdedeo. And it's really kind of both of them to spare time on a weekend, which is actually reserved for a family. So thanks once again. And also a word of thanks to our mentors and many more behind the scenes, without whom we wouldn't have been able to come this far. Do share your feedback. We'll be posting a copy of this video, today's session, on LinkedIn at the first half of coming week. So do leave us a feedback, and we'll be happy to take on any suggestions and improvise this program further for the benefit of our members. Thank you, everyone. Have a happy Sunday ahead. Thanks, JD. Thanks, Swarna. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.